Fantastic Beasts, directed by David Yates.
Starring Eddie Redmayne, Catherine Waterston, and Colin Farrell.
Let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Alright, Colin, so we saw Fantastic Beasts on Thursday. It's now Sunday. We've had a few days to think about it, to let it dwell. Some initial thoughts. What do we got?
I loved it. I think I was more excited for this than any of the Harry Potter movies. Because I learned, spoiler alert, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. And so,
Yeah.
anytime
His office.
Anytime the movies were coming out, I learned early not to expect a lot from the movies. They were always disappointing because you had these these amazing books, and then you just can't put everything into the movies, right? They're gonna cut stuff. They're gonna change things. Gonna make things weird for whatever reason. And so that's always hard for me. I have a hard time separating the movies from the books. But with this, it's J.K. Rowling writing it for the screen. There's no book, there's no novel that she's drawing from. She's literally writing the movie. And so I was like, this is gonna be great. So I was really excited for it. I was hoping it wouldn't disappoint, and for me, it definitely didn't.
Cool. So initial thoughts for me, I'm a little bit different than Colin in the fact that I haven't read all of the books. I've read some of the books. I'm not as invested in the books themselves as in the stories of the movies. So when I did have that experience when I had just read the 5th book and then I saw the 5th movie, I walked out just so sad because there were so many differences and I just couldn't get over that.
Yeah.
Looking back now, I've since rewatched the 5th movie and I like it now as a movie. And particularly Harry Potter 7 Part 1 and 2, I adore. I love those movies, everything about them. I can rewatch them forever. So my expectations were also really high going into this because we were talking about how it would be different for J.K. Rowling since she was writing a completely new script, just a script. And I think I went in with expectations too high because mine weren't met, but I didn't not like the movie. I liked the movie a lot. And it had some really, really fun moments. And, it had a good amount of that Harry Potter magic. For me, sometimes it didn't quite hit that. Sometimes it didn't quite hit in the first Harry Potter, there's when you're introduced to the wizarding world, there's this wow moment, And in this, I feel like they tried to do that in a couple parts, and it didn't quite get there for me.
Okay.
I wanted a little bit more punch of this is magic, look at it, wow.
Yeah.
As far as, let's talk about Eddie Redmayne in there.
I loved him. He brought, we have no context for how Newt Scamander as the person is, and I think he just totally brought him to life, and he's just, I don't know, he warms your heart. He's just so charismatic, and you just want to hug him, because he's awesome, and he's just trying to do good things.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him as well. I was a little bit hesitant at first, because in the trailers I couldn't quite tell if he was going to be likable enough.
Okay.
In the trailers it didn't quite show his likability, but I was wrong. He was extremely likable. He's probably the most likable character in the movie. Jacob is also extremely likable, but really he has this awkwardness about him with people that he doesn't have when he's interacting with beasts, and you just really see into his heart.
Yeah.
And Eddie Redmayne's performance is probably my favorite part of the movie, because he really he made you so happy with how his character acted and how much he cared. Let's talk about Jacob. I can't remember the actor's name.
So his name is Dan Fogler.
Yeah, so Dan Fogler, I also thought I was going to be a little bit annoyed by him from the trailers. I couldn't quite tell because they only threw in a couple of the jokes that didn't really hit for me in the trailer.
Yeah.
In the movie, they hit way more.
Yeah.
He made me laugh very hard a couple times in this movie. And I got it, by the end of this, you are really caring about this character that you didn't really think. And, he's really the audience. He's the no-mage, or the muggle, as we know. and he's the one that's learning these things, and as the audience is learning, he's really the audience character, and you need that. And he wasn't just the audience character. I think he really had his own character in it. And brought a lot to the movie. I did enjoy him a lot.
Yeah, me too. And what's cool is you mentioned, like, he's learning along with the audience, and that's true. Again, that's what I love about this whole thing, is that we have no idea what's going to happen. So that's what I think is really going to be good. If you are a diehard Harry Potter fan, I think you're really going to like this, because you have no preconceived notions of what's going on. And that's really cool, and that's really unique.
Sweet. So let's move into maybe talking about a little bit of the direction. We haven't talked about David Yates very much. Any thoughts on, pacing and the cinematography of the film? What do you think?
Well, what's cool is, so David Yates directed Harry Potter 5, 6, and both parts of 7. So we're getting the same feel of most of the Harry Potter movies, so that's cool. It started the exact same way, started with the classic Harry Potter music, which was awesome, definitely brought chills and tears to my eyes. Overall, though, I think I really liked it. They wanted to create a feel of Harry Potter, but you didn't also want it to be exactly a Harry Potter movie, and it's not. And so, you recognize certain things and certain feelings, but again, it's a whole new original story, and you get that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he brought elements that he needed to from Harry Potter, but didn't just rely on them. He did try to sneak in a very different feel, and they brought in a new composer to try to really give it a new feel. Because Alexander Despaux, I think.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it.
I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. He wasn't doing this score. I can't remember who.
It's James Newton Howard.
Yes.
Who has a prolific movie scoring career, so very good. They had some of the elements of the original John Williams stuff throughout, and very subtly, which was, I thought, really nice. But new themes for the movie, and for new as done by James Newton Howard, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good score, and that incorporating that with David Yates' direction, I think it really was solid. For me, getting a little bit into the negatives, there were a couple points where the pacing was a little bit off for me.
Okay.
It kind of jumped a little bit. The second half of the movie, I think, is fantastic. No pun intended. I think it moved well, it flowed really well, and the action started getting going, and you were just in it. The first half was a little bit jumpy for me. I couldn't quite get into it as much as I wanted to, and I'm not sure. I think another viewing is going to help me figure out what it was that didn't quite click for me. But I remember kind of like sitting through the first half, like, all right, when are we going to get to like what's happening?
Yeah, they definitely spent a good amount of time building the universe and building the characters.
Right.
Which I think you need, because so we've recently learned that this is what was originally going to be a trilogy is now going to be a 5-movie series. And so I think they were then able to be like, okay, we've got all this room to grow. Let's take a step back. In this first one, we'll spend a good amount of time kind of building these characters. Because I think the real 4 main characters, I think we're going to see a lot. It's Jacob, Newt, Tina, and Queenie.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know if you have any kind of negatives you want to get into.
I have some negatives based on things they brought over from the Harry Potter universe that I wasn't thrilled to see. I thought they would hopefully correct it, but they didn't. So, if you're a fan of the books, you know that spells have certain colors when they're cast. Stupefy, which is a stunning spell, is red. Avada Kedavra is green. So you know these. And in the later David Yates movies, they really didn't do too much of that. They're always white, for whatever reason. I can't imagine it's budget related, because
no.
You're already creating all this CGI. You really just can't throw in a color. I don't know. But they kept that for this, so that kind of irked me a little bit. Yeah.
I saw some colors in there. Some. Once in a while they'll throw color in, but a lot of it does mesh together.
Yeah.
Not quite distinct colors. I do get
Yeah.
that. Just a couple more from me, I guess. There was a main character that felt a little bit underdeveloped to me, and that was Tina. I think that she didn't get quite. I know they did go into developing her character, but I felt like her personality just felt a little bit flat for me in the beginning. She wasn't really given a lot of range as she was later on in the film, and at the beginning she was kind of boring. She was kind of like stereotypical, like, oh, I used to be an Aura, now I'm not, and I did something wrong, and so there was something that didn't quite click. I did like her more towards the end. But for me, something wasn't clicking with her at the beginning. Her sister had tons of personality, like a ridiculous amount, and she was great. But it also made her feel just a little bit more flat, comparing her to her sister.
Okay.
So
I can see that.
Just a couple negatives from me. You want to get into? I know this is probably our longest review. We're getting really
probably, because I
sweaty
think
about
for
it.
me, I'm most excited about this one. I've been looking forward to this for a really long time.
So let's wrap it up for these guys and give our overall thoughts and give it a score.
Overall, I think even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, I really think you're going to enjoy this. If you like kind of that magic universe stuff, it was really good. Eddie Redmayne was just phenomenal. He was there most of the movie as the star, of course. So really enjoyed that. And I can't wait for 4 more movies of this. I'm super excited. J.K. Rowling is writing all of them, has probably shaped most of them already, and I know they're working on production on the second movie. So for me, totally biased, but this is 9 out of 10 for me.
Wow, okay. For me, I did really enjoy the film. I walked out a little bit disappointed. I think my expectations were too high. I just wanted so much from this movie. What it did do well is set up this franchise.
For sure.
It really did. And I'm looking forward so much to finding out what is going to happen with these characters that we learned are in the film, that will be in the future films. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go because I just want more Harry Potter, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. In that respect, I loved how it set it up, but something fell flat a little bit for me. So I'm going to give it a good, not a great, I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10. But still, I think worth seeing because it's a fun family film. There's a lot of really cute things in there as well as some kind of scary things.
Yeah.
So it's a good mix.
And you can see they're setting up for some really epic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, that's our review of Fantastic Beasts. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.
Fantastic Beats and where to find them. Dr. Dre.